Alright, but so we got a couple things going on. I think I've said this before, but we're on a different channel now. So there is adherence to logical structure, right? We all work together. When we all work together and choose to cooperate with each other and choose for everyone to survive, meaning when no one's jealous, when everyone can get over those feelings and not want everyone to lose when they're losing, we can all develop the ability to create mass structure that becomes not only our behaviors, but the things that we have and how organized we are and all that stuff. And this is what it would look like. Now, this is, I rushed it, but just imagine the lines are straight. It represents structure, and that's what it would be. But there are people, predators, that over time have learned to mimic on the outside the cooperative structure out of necessity. But very, very closely, their behaviors are actually not contributing to the structure. Now, this is an argument of like, we're all going to be different. We all deserve privacy. Privacy is okay. You can do what you want in privacy. The issue is some people are doing things that are actively canceling the foundations of shared cooperative structure. And so even if it's just private and it's not affecting everything, you doing it in a shared cooperation will poison the entire system. So what they do is they'll have this little area around them in their privacy where they do things in secret, yada yada. But then they attach, it transforms the endings into the understood cooperative structure. And this is because nobody can fully do this without eventually being killed. Because if you're not cooperating with the structure, you have no need to be in the structure since you obviously don't want to participate in it. And so it's not even intelligence. It's literally just cowardice. These guys won't go all the way with what they're doing because they couldn't survive, they didn't. So these little turn ins to the structure that looks like they're actually participating, it's not intelligence. It's not smart. It's because you're a pussy. It's because you're a bitch. It's because you don't want to go all the way. That's what it is. Anyway, here's how these things work. Oftentimes, these guys disguise themselves as participating in the structure, but they'll randomly flash. They'll randomly flash their structure, their little privacy, and then they'll just turn right back into the structure that we're all expecting. And the thing is, if we attack this structure, then we're ultimately, by the same argument we're using against them and their own private poisoning of our structure, are attacking the structure and they're thus poisoning it. So it's an ethical trap. They claim they disguise themselves as a part of the structure. They reveal themselves as what they are, and then they turn back into the structure. And we're not saying, oh my God, you had a threesome? That's horrible. Kill yourself. We're not talking about that. Threesomes. If you have a threesome, make sure everybody wants to be a part of it. Make sure no one's getting betrayed or treated on. Very simple. Very fucking simple. Not that hard to do. It's not that hard, okay? So, they're not talking about having free action. We're talking about cheating, cucking, stealing, molesting. All those fucking things. All those things that take people's choice. Those things right there. That's what we're talking about. And so, they'll reveal themselves for a flash second. And then they'll revert back to the structure that we are saying they need to cooperate with. And if we choose to attack them, when we cannot draw the lines back to what they actually are, they'll claim that we're attacking the structure too, so it must be okay for them to keep going in private. It's not. You're caught. I'm going to kill you. I need you guys to really understand this. I'm not talking shit. I'm not fucking putting up a big game. I'm not fucking being dramatic either. I'm literally killing you. And I know that I have to follow my rules, and I can't be a bad person, right? I feel like I'm at that point where I'm not one, regardless. Okay? So no matter what you tell yourself, I need you to know that you're caught, and I'm actually killing you. And it's actually gonna blend into the structure of what's happening, and it's gonna look like a fucking accident. I need you to know that. Because I don't want you to say that you didn't know. Alright? So another thing that's going on is there are people who are doing this strategic structure of private cancerous behavior that turns into the structure we recognize as cooperative. What they're doing is flashing themselves, getting people confused, and as they investigate, trapping them by saying, you were doing it too. See, people who don't know how to explain this ethical structure of them flashing and then turning back into this, and then when they attack that, they say we can't say that there's anything wrong with them doing this. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Prove there's something wrong with it. People around them get sucked into it and don't know what to do. Guys like me have to fucking come into existence. They have to fucking materialize, have a fucking story that doesn't make sense and does make sense. And then they have to fucking figure out how this guy's doing this and stop them. Now here's what I have to say about it. These guys keep doing this from a distance because if they do it too close to me, not only will I figure it out, I'll actually fucking do something about it. And that's the thing. So they do these flashes and they get these people involved, and even if they aren't involved, they're just people in between who are trying to mind their business and live their lives. But they keep flashing and they keep getting my attention, and they know that. They know that because I'm big. I'm fucking huge, right? And so they'll keep doing this, and what it does is whenever I start reacting to their structure as it is, like all right, so let's say they have a structure that's like this. Like they're not cooperating, they're not helping, they're just pretending to and blending in. So I develop a structure that counters it. I develop a structure that twirls them in and then wraps up what they are. And it's a very aggressive structure. If what they're doing is aggressive, it'll be a very aggressive structure. So what they're doing is the same way that they're trying to get you to attack the structure that they claim the structure that we say is wrong to become cancerous to, so they can continue doing it. They're trying to get me to attack everybody in between us as I develop the counteraction for their cancer structure. Now, what this is doing is it's creating a bit of a tension, a friction, a frustration between me and people who are not involved. But I've done a good job of communicating. They still see who I am regardless, even if they fall for the losses, right? And so they've got their protections, and I'm getting them out of these. You know, you don't deserve to die if somebody just started becoming a black hole next to you and you couldn't get out of it fast enough. You don't deserve to die for that. They hardly deserve to die, but if they don't fucking stop, I'll send them where they need to go. So that's the real thing that's happening. These guys talk shit from a distance until I explode. And so if you live with me, if you see me sometimes, you'll literally see me start talking out loud, and it might be some fucking hard ass shit. It's not towards you. It's not towards you at all. It's towards these fucking guys that know what I'm doing here. Like at this point, imagine me as like a fucking cell in the immune system, and the viruses have become aware that I'm here to get rid of them. And they're trying to get the other cells in the body to mistake me for the virus as well, so that they can survive. And man, just give me some time. I've already taken care of it. So another thing that's going on, another thing that's been fucking annoying me. There's solid matter, right? There's solid matter. We're gonna give some space to the R because some people are taking that. So there's solid matter, right? And then there's the logical structure that we use to expand into the things that haven't happened yet. Nothing. To become the matter that we want to be next. The next physical occurrence. So logical reaches into mass space to create our next physical occurrence. So like logically I'm hungry, right? Logically I'm hungry. I mean, physically I'm hungry. Logically, I have food that I can go eat right now. Stuff like that. Logical reaches. I have a plan for it. I have thoughts for it. And there's nothing obstructing it. There's no violation of any law. There's no fight. There's no contradiction. There's no collision. And so a smooth process will be me going and getting more food. There's nothing stopping me, right? Another way. This is how I predict the future, by the way. So this system here, I've gotten very good at seeing it, and I've got some blind spots, but that's what I'm hunting right now. I think the blind spots are the viruses, or just where I need to learn anyway. And so what happens is, in the mass structure, where we're all kind of acting out our logical reaches, our physical matter is just what logic stayed, what logic worked, combined with some dead mass, and I'm going to define that for you. So what it is I can read the logical reaches, I can understand the logical mass, and you guys may not notice it sometimes, but you're actually talking to me in mass space, and so I can see your actions and intentions a little before you act it in any way, because everything is calculating. Life itself is calculating. Existence itself is calculating. Remember, it's conscious. And so I'm seeing everyone's intentions, everyone's logical attempts to move forward, and how they're colliding or tangling up with everything else to find the best path to actually become physical without harming anyone. So just know that. That's how I've been predicting the future. The way these guys were predicting the future, I create matter, and they just fucking eat from it. So I create matter, I create structure so well. That's very unorganized. Very unorganized. I drew that wrong. That it reaches these guys who have nothing but dead mass, and they need something to eat from and chew from. But because they're dead mass, they're just saying, this is all wrong, and eating at my matter. And they're not predicting the future. They're just fucking dying on me. So what's happening is this mass space where logic can be developed. There's short logic, right, where like I want to go get food, but then there's very large logic. This is what determines, this is what my difference is, really. Large logic, and I use very large logic to create alternative existences that are hard for me to hold right now because of all the challenge. Or not that hard. I'm kind of leading you into a show. But these alternative spaces are actually logically held. So by becoming so organized and following ethical rules, I've developed mass space structure that actually holds and maintains and is consistent. Right now, I have to use physical constants machines in order to prevent it from collapsing under intense questioning or, black hole chewing it. But I'll get better at it, and eventually what I see is I'll develop the ability to not only keep these spaces alive, but to immediately turn mass logic into physical construct without needing a constant device. Evis. Let's get rid of the D. Let's get rid of the D in device. I don't like device. I like Evis. Without having to use an Evis to keep it together. And so what I'm saying is, at some point, I'm going to literally be able to hold objects from mass space, and everyone's going to be able to see them, whether they agree with it or not. And that's something I'm working on right now. But another thing that happens is, that's what it says. So I'll be able to materialize within solid matter. There's the space that we have. The fact that my arm isn't just stuck in place, but that I can move it around my hand. That's somewhat of the fluid matter space that we're talking about. And that fluid matter space can be represented as still combined structure trying not to collapse. And so what I'm saying is I'll eventually be able to turn logical structures that have gone beyond what shared matter is thinking to physically manifest real structures in real time, and real behaviors and real changes in real time, without needing an Evis to justify it, or to stall everybody and have them understand it and be able to understand it before they see it. Here's the thing that's happening. There are people who think they're doing this now, but they're really not. They're just using destructive logic. And destructive logic, what it does is it takes logical structure that's working, and it pretty much just fucking collapses it all into a giant clump, and then it gets confused and it keeps going. And I call this dead matter, dead mass. It's dead mass. And I call it dead mass because at this level that it's going, it cannot get out of its destructive motion to even begin cooperating back into a higher structure. So that's why it's called dead mass. Okay. So, hold on. So I need to point this out. Good examples of mass structure being real, like mass space and developing structure in mass space, video games, movies, books, comics, those are actual mass spaces that are being represented and through physical objects. Those are real things. They're real things. It's a real space. It's just following enough rules that it doesn't have to be concerned about the collision with dead matter, dead mass. So here's what these guys are doing. They're not materializing matter. They're not developing high structures and materializing them through fluid space. What they're doing is they're using a three how, and I call it the three how is, how does anything know what it is doing before it sees itself? Hard question to answer when you've only got this much time to answer it. And the implication is that if you can't answer it, then you don't see what you're doing, you're going to collide, so you need to stop. It causes logical retreat. I discussed this in my mass piracy video. What this does is it takes logic that's developing and it causes it to retreat so fast, combined with some eating away into dead mass that doesn't know what to do anymore because it's pretty much blind and can't answer the question at the limitation that it has to express itself. And so instead of actually being able to create matter with their minds, they are, let's say, in an area of collected mass, they are questioning an area until it becomes so sucked in, so compact, that it just turns into dead matter. It just turns into dead matter. And dead matter, destructive logic has its patterns of behavior. Destructive logic is pretty much non-cooperative. So all this matter here is pretty much with cooperation. Like I said, the universe is conscious. Existence is conscious. It's the only way we can be conscious. And so by working with it, I gain more of an ability to interact with it, to do things that at a low level of thinking look like magic, but are just really just logical to what's going on. So, destructive logic. Nothing can work together anymore. Loss continues. Loss begins. And where everything else is still working together, everything collapses this way. As it collapses, non-cooperation occurs. And once non-cooperation occurs, at extreme losses, sexual warfare begins. And sexual warfare is pretty much, I don't have to respect anybody's relationship. I can do whatever I want. I don't care. And you got to fight or kill me if you want to stop it. Sexual warfare. Sexual warfare is very easy to create with loss. It's very easy to just question everybody until they don't know what to do anymore, and then get them to want to fight, and then increase that motion of fighting until no one knows what anything is, and now we've all turned into sexual connection predators. So, something that's been happening with me, and it's been very annoying, and these guys think they're clever, is my mucus. They've been using some logical crashing, some logical collapsing to, in a small way, turn it into jizz. Now, I responded by turning it into blood, just restructuring the blood. And I did this by following its own logic. So the loss is it's not like a logical pattern. These guys are just collapsing things. They're just like, if I keep fucking, it's not smart. If I keep stabbing this paper, it's eventually going to go through to the next page. And then it's eventually going to go through to the next page. And it's eventually going to go through to the next page. I'm not actually building something. It's just the logical continuation of eating away at something, at destroying something. And so naturally it becomes sexual warfare. Naturally it becomes discooperation. So it's not special. These people aren't special. They're not intelligent. They're not doing anything that I can't beat, okay? I'm just fucking trying to figure out how to save them, and if I get too fucking tired, I'm just gonna clip it, and I'm done, okay? So what happens is, as things begin to collapse, becomes destroyed, that collapse of matter gets added to the current dead mass that we're all acting around. What we're all developing structure around. So we've got our fluid mass. We've got solid, healthy mass. The fluid mass around that. It's probably the same thing, a combination of both. And then we've got our logical reaches. We're all walking around dead mass caused by discooperation. And whenever they collapse, it gets added to that dead mass, that dead matter. And what happens is, at an extreme loss, it just clumps together with that matter with logical destructions that are already occurring. Well, destruction logic that's already occurring. And so let's say someone just selfishly pulls everything into a single place. And they're not even saying words. Let's say they're just fucking screaming. But if they lost it hard enough, and it gets added to dead matter at an extreme rate, what happens is it becomes the next logical loss continuation that you're dealing with. And so all someone has to do is fucking scream as much as they can with the intention of nothing working together. And you will probably hear something that feels personal to you attacking you. And you'll think that they actually said it. But that's just mass space collapsing in the discooperation. Once again, not special. You're not a wizard. You're not God. You're not doing anything special. Real special talent is developing these structures without thinking that they're fucking boring or lame, without fucking competing with everybody else. That's real fucking talent. What you're doing is just fucking collapsing matter until it becomes dead mass and gets clumped on to the fucking clot that we're already dealing with. Not magic. Not magic. Alright? So yeah, just wanted to get all that stated out in the open there. And thank you for watching. I'm going to go eat something.